Here is how I defeated Grounded's WASP Queen using only tier 1 equipment. Also a facecam. The rules. I must only use tier 1 equipment unless I need to use better equipment to get the boss item. I must first try the boss so I cannot die, and the end goal of defeating the WASP Queen. I started off where I left off the previous video where I defeated the Mantis using only tier 1 equipment, where you guys can watch that video over here. But right now my goal is to find some pupa leather which I need to make the tier 3 ox hammer. Don't mind the lag here, it'll be over shortly. I then needed to get some more black ox parts as well as some more pupa leather which I gathered. After getting hit in the head with the rock from the black ox beetle, he soon went down. Then I killed a ladybird lava and getting eyed down by a black ox beetle. Oh shit. But after he threw a rock at the ladybird lava, he soon went down. Then on my way home, I killed some more wolf spiders to get their spider venom to make the tier 1 venom arrows to hopefully use that in the queen boss fight, as well as grabbing some nectar and just barely reaching this nectar here. I then researched the pupa leather as well as the mantis parts to make the black ox hammer, and I need one more pupa leather. With that, I killed this wolf spider in rage because I didn't want to go back up to the upper yard to get more pupa leather. So instead, I was trying to make the gill tube and the fin flops as well as the pebblet dagger so I could then do the pond lab. Why is there so many? After grabbing the lily pad wax I needed some boatman fins. Oh, there's a few there. So instead of making a pebblet dagger and stabbing them for years, I used my bow and shot them a few times, grabbing enough of the water boatman pieces. And then crafted the pebblet dagger and then made my way back into the pond to get myself some eelgrass strands. With that, I made the fin flops in the gill tube and made my way into the pond lab. I then restarted the breaker and then turned on 3 switches underwater that would power the pond lab facility. With that, I went into the pond lab and getting greeted from TZs as well as some Arcars. I grabbed the pond super chip as well as opening the pond dome and getting the duper disc and looking at this computer screen. So I went back to Burgle, inserted my duper disc and gave him the pond super chip, the last super chip I needed. I then grabbed some muddy scales in the pond which I needed for the embiggening cocktail. I then went back to Burgle and he told me of Dr. Wendell Tully's location, well, the location of his scabby, which is located on the chair. So I made my way up to the chair. I almost got munched on by this big koi fish in the pond and got some more pupa leather. With that, I made the black ox hammer which I needed for Wendell's scabby as well as some sour mints. Making my way to his scabby now, I busted the back and gave it a replacement fuse as well as turning it on. Now as he was giving our last message to the world, I got some toenails in waiting for it to finish. The last recording said that he was in the undershed lab, which I made my way in, and after grabbing some healing items which I would need for later. I then traversed the undershed to find Wendell Tully himself. But first, I had a little bit of a problem. I had to go and fight a black widow spider, but I've fought her with my fists before and she was relatively easy as I perfect blocked almost every single attack, resulting in her death. I then went to the undershed lab and searched for Wendell Tully, but found nothing but these photos just here. I think there's like a story to this game or something, but I don't have the time for that. I then went in and killed all the bugs that were in the lab, and then I heard a monstrous roar in the distance. Yeah, that's the man. Also, I talked to my face cam, so you're welcome for that. With my game face and webcam on, it was time for the mant fight. I don't even think I'm supposed to be killing this guy, right? Isn't it supposed to be Wendell Tully or something? Because I heard he wanted to turn himself into a giant monster, but whatever. He summoned his little fire ant workers, which were quite annoying in the fight, but nothing too challenging, as well as perfect blocking all his attacks and doing whatever this attack is. During the fight, I got down to half HP, but in the end, the Mant was defeated. I also don't know why my game was really choppy here, but it was. Killing the Mant gave us the Mant Serious Stranger mutation, so now it was time to get out of here and oh, who's that talking? So after putting my hand on the biometric scanner, it turned out to be no other than Wendell Tully himself. After speaking to him, he gave us grilled science for some reason, but then I just stole all of his tier 1 food. I then went up to his giant coffee machine or the Java-matic where the end game is, but more on that later. I was up here to kill the wasps and their wasp nest, which I need to destroy 3 of to get the wasps out of the brawny boy bin to grant myself access to the wasp queen fight, but then realizing I needed a tier 3 bow to take these down. So I fought a wasp, thinking I could take it on. I was very wrong. After measly hits, I was starting to second guess myself about the boss fight. So I set off to make the black ox crossbow, which needed pine cones, lint rope, and rust. I then also killed a black ox beetle as well for its parts in the black ox crossbow. I then ran home and got some more acorns as I wanted the entire acorn set to have maximum resistance, and then upgraded more of my tools and my acorn set that I just made. Then the next morning I made the black ox crossbow, as well as killing some aphids for their meat, but as I was walking to the upper yard to break some of wasp hives, I had second guesses about the boss fight. I don't think I'll be able to do it. So with that in mind, I tried to fight off a wasp drone, and these little buggers have a status effect that heal and sometimes crit you, so if I could kill these wasp drones in the boss fight, I should be alright. But the damage output versus the healing output was just too much and it was impossible to kill. So I just shot down their nests and broke all 3 of them, getting the notification that the wasp hive was disturbed. Back up to the Java-matic, I made a bomb and blasted open the coffee machine and placed in the embiggening cell. With all that done, I went to bed and got the cutscene of the wasps coming out of the Brawny Boy bin. I then went into the bin and went to the Wasp Queen hive to get the Boss Queen recipe. I then gathered the ingredients I needed for the BBQ melody, which consists of blood sacks, bee stingers, sour wormholes, and also a tiger mosquito bee. I then crafted the boss item and the pressure was starting to set in. I then made some more arrows and then I researched how much HP the Boss Queen actually had, and she had 5,000, almost double more than the Mantis. I then took a nap and then in the next morning I grabbed some of my aphid meat as well as the boss item and made my way up into the upper yard, having yet again more second thoughts. I'm just gonna let you all know before I get into the fight, I won't be able to kill it in any way, shape or form. Healing just was too much. So the Wasp Queen I ain't gonna kill her. I can't defeat it. Now keep in mind, it was only 1 attempt in the boss fight, so I couldn't save and restart, so the pressure was definitely setting in. I won't be able to kill it. It's as simple as that. I won't. I can't. But it was time to man up and start the boss fight. Oh my god. And here she is in all of her glory, the Wasp Queen. Definitely not the best start when her very first attack poisons you, but that was alright. Even after she sprays the room with more poison, which is pretty much impossible to escape. It was also mixed combat, so I was shooting it with my bow and sometimes my axe whenever she landed on the ground. There was no cheesing this time, with the Mantis just running around in circles with a bow. She also summons these little wasps, which I've realized were really weak. Wait, they have like no health. This might be possible. And just like that, I turned around, thinking I was able to fight this in my very first attempt. And also realizing that my poison arrows actually did affect her.
She'd get poisoned!
Okay, I honestly think I might be able to do it. So every time she summoned a little wasp, my attention to her dropped to 0 and I killed the little wasp. And this is my reaction when you can 3-shot them.
I can 3-shot him!
This is basically the entire fight, switching from poison arrows to normal arrows, and then when she lands I had to attack her and always evading attacks, and still keeping focus on my health and how much damage the poison does. Sometimes she always summoned 2 wasps, which was never an issue because I always 3-shot them as well. When she's near low health, she then calls out for her support drone, the wasp drone. I really hope that the healing wasn't too bad in this boss fight, which it really wasn't. Although in that clip I just wasted all my venom arrows. So whenever I heard her call out, I would instantly go and focus the wasp drone, as I did not want her going back up to half HP. With my little health that I had left, I had 3 bandages left. And every time she would come near me, I would get up my spiky sprig and start her to bleed, as well as using my venom arrows until I ran out. After her health got lower and lower, I started getting pressured. What did she get off? What did she get off? She got the crit off. She got crit off. Okay. I also got some pretty good RNG here, because every time the wasp drone would call out, it would always be the crit effect, never the heal. She got crit off again, and as I had no healing left and she had pretty much no health left, I started to crack. And then she turned dumb and then landed right in front of me so I could finish her off with my spiky sprig.
She's dead.
After killing the Wasp Queen, I also got the Bardic Inspiration mutation. Don't mind about my reaction here. The boss fight took around half an hour, and thank god it was finally over.
I thought it was impossible.
I also got the gold card from her, which is a 1% chance drop, and for a boss, that was really good. And that's how I killed the wasp using only tier 1 equipment. Thank you guys so much for watching, have a good rest of your day, and I'll catch you tomorrow, and if not tomorrow the next day, and if not the next day, then any other day of the week.